SAG Award nominations came out this morning, and we've been writing tons of articles, but we thought we'd take a few minutes here and do a quick slugfest, and this one's about the film categories, the 5 categories they have at the SAG Awards. We got Daniel Montgomery here, Paul Sheehan, and Marcus Dixon, and I'm Chris Beachum. Let's talk about Ensemble first. Daniel, we'll let you go first. What was the biggest shocker for you that wasn't in the, well, let me mention the 5 that are in there first. Beast of No Nation, The Big Short, Spotlight, Straight Outta Compton, and Trumbo. What was the shocker for you among the ones that did not get in?
The biggest surprise for me among the films that didn't get in it's got to be Steve Jobs. I mean, yeah. It had 6 main cast members. It's an actor-heavy movie. Like it's almost like, you know, it's been described as sort of like 3 one-act plays strung together. So it's dialogue and acting heavy. You know, it's full of big stars. 2 of them were nominated. Michael Fassbender and Kate Winslet did get in to get individual nominations. So the fact that it didn't get in with a decent-sized cast and A-list cast members and all that going for it, that's probably the biggest surprise exclusion for me here.
Paul?
Yeah, no, I would concur with Daniel, and I think that what we're seeing, both with what's in and what's out, are the importance of screeners. So, you know, there's these 2,000 plus people on a nominating committee, but they're not necessarily in New York and LA where they have screenings and Q&As and schmooze fests. They're all around the country. They might be all around the world. And so they need to get screeners, and they don't get things like The Hateful Eight sent to them, or they barely got Joy. Only some of them get The Revenant because they have to sign an agreement. So we're seeing that over and over. And then one of the films that did get nominated, Beast of No Nation, we listed more than 40 films and didn't even include it in our prediction center. But what we forgot was they had a built-in screener on that. It was on Netflix. Every time I turned on Netflix to watch a TV show, up popped Beast of No Nations. You couldn't escape it. And so the fact that it got a nomination over films that didn't go out as screeners. I mean, the one thing that we should talk about, I think at the outset, is why are we talking about SAG nominations on December 9th? You know, I know the Golden Globes are going to be tomorrow, but those awards are at the beginning of January. SAG Awards are at the end of January. Just like PGA, just like DGA, we're not going to hear those nominations until January. So the fact that the Screen Actors Guild needs to get the jump on the Golden Globes, and by doing that they shortchange all of us. So people that love awards, the people that make movies, the actors in those movies, but that they don't get to tout that they're in you know, a SAG-nominated film. So, you know, I'm happy to keep talking about it, but I wish we were having this conversation in 3 or 4 weeks, not today.
I just posted that exact same comment to in one of the billions of items that we did today. You know, it just doesn't make sense. So some of these movies haven't even opened. Many of them haven't opened. Concussion and Creed, they were both snubbed as well. Sylvester was predicted.
Well, no, Creed's open. Creed's open, Marcus, but Concussion's a couple of weeks out still.
Right. Sorry. But yeah, The Hateful Eight, Joy. It's if they had done these in January, I think we would have seen certainly Jennifer Lawrence get in. I can't believe she got snubbed. We would have seen, you know, Sylvester get in. Well, again, that one's already open, but maybe Samuel L. Jackson, Jennifer Jason Leigh for Hateful Eight.
But to Stallone, and I think we'll probably see him get nominated tomorrow at the Globes, that bandwagon's just starting. I think that's unexpected. They weren't the studio didn't forecast that to be an Oscar picture. They kept expectations low, but it's well reviewed. So and I would have thought in terms of an African American themed film, Creed was more likely. So the Straight Outta Compton, which again went out on screener months ago, getting in. But it's interesting. So the Ensemble does, but they don't single out any performances. There's those disconnects, don't you think, Chris, between that there's Ensemble, but there's not any individual performance worth being nominated, and vice versa, like Daniel mentioned about Steve Jobs.
Yeah, and really, until you brought it up here in this conversation, I mean, they've always announced, you know, one day apart, SAG and Globes, but what you say makes total sense. I mean, these movies that are screening now in December and opening a little bit later, you're talking about a mass number of people on a SAG nominating committee, as opposed to they made sure that the foreign press, which is under 100 people, have seen everything. So we're going to see probably Hateful Eight, at least up in a couple of categories, maybe more. We're going to see Joy. We're going to see The Revenant. We're going to see them do better with the foreign press simply because they were able to make sure they got to go and watch the movies. All of these, we were warned by the Weinstein Company just Monday, I believe, of this week that, hey, you know, if Hateful Eight doesn't get in, you know, a lot of the SAG people haven't seen it yet. Don't take that as a big alarm bell. So they were already noticing that this was going to be a problem, just like it was for Django. Remember Django, same exact release pattern, does not get in for Ensemble, which it had a big ensemble, does not get in for Christoph Waltz, who went on to win the Oscar.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So now you're talking after my rant about what's not nominated among those what is. I mean, does this give a huge lift to Trumbo? You know, 2 individual nominations plus that ensemble nomination, and the magic of Helen Mirren getting Women in Gold as well, Best Actress over there for a film that was in the spring. What do you think? Is that, if you were filling out, and I think we all can now, fill out our first predictions for who's going to win, and we can keep changing them right up until awards night. Who are you going to predict is going to win Best Ensemble right this second, Daniel?
I'd say, I mean, based on the nominations, Spotlight almost in a walk in this category. Yeah, it's you know, I mean, we'll see. Like The Big Short is just sort of starting to pick up steam. We'll see if that, you know, continues to go further. Straight Outta Compton probably has a shot too, but Spotlight is the only film that's like a major, or at least that we're considering at the moment, a major contender to win Best Picture at the Oscars. It's the only one that got in here. So
yeah, but don't forget that there's a huge disconnect. I mean, they've given this award out 20 times, and only 10 times did it go to the Oscar winner. So what about Mark Ruffalo and Michael Keaton not being nominated? I mean, we're expecting Michael Keaton to win the Oscar. I mean, this poor guy. Last year he loses at SAG to Eddie Redmayne. This year he doesn't even get to go. I guess he'll go as part of the Spotlight ensemble, but he doesn't get to be in the spotlight.
I pulled Keaton and Ruffalo out a couple of days ago individually.
Wow.
I just didn't. They haven't gotten any steam at all at all the different little tiny critics things that have been going on, the bigger critics things. For some reason, the ensemble's being recognized, and I had said weeks ago, I wonder, even though I don't think she did a whole lot of the movie, if Rachel might start getting nominated at things just because she's the only woman. But I think the men are canceling each other out.
So you pulled them out of Oscars too, or just SAG?
I know I pulled them out of SAG because that was one of the few things I got right today. But
wow.
I can't remember on the Oscars. I don't think I've got either one anymore in the Oscars.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Go ahead, Marcus.
If you had told me that only one person from Spotlight would be recognized, I would have thought Michael Keaton, or Mark Ruffalo. Rachel would have been, third.
It's the LA Confidential thing. I've been talking about it for at least 3 months on her, Rachel McAdams, and also Jennifer Jason Leigh. When you're a woman in a sea of men in the movie, the men quite often in that situation cancel each other out, and then that woman, she's the only, she doesn't have that problem, and she also stands out in the movie in a way. So that's why I've been thinking Rachel would get in. And if this whole Rooney, Mara, Alicia Vikander thing works out, where they go into lead at the Oscars or something, when they're in supporting here, that's going to really help somebody like Rachel.
And they're in supporting here, Chris, because from what you said, they're actually on a ballot, right? They're locked in to supporting.
Right. At here and at SAG, the studios completely decide. There's no committee. You as a TV network or a movie studio, you decide where your people go. At the Globes, though, tomorrow, if either one gets in, they will be lead.
Okay.
Because the committee there said that Rooney and Alicia are leads.
And then it's completely up to the members of the actors branch at the Oscars, which, if they put their names on either ballot, they totally get to decide, as in Golden Globe winning supporting actress Kate Winslet for The Reader suddenly being elevated up to Best Actress. I guess this, category fraud, a little bit of a switcheroo so that they don't have Rooney and Kate competing against each other. I think in the case of Alicia Vikander, it's a little disingenuous, though, in that she is the lead. It's just that she's much more, like Patricia Arquette last year, she can either maybe get a lead nomination, but she's got a good, strong chance of winning a supporting Oscar. So it's what do you make of over on the Best Actress side? I mean, I think most of our Oscar frontrunners got in. Does it feel like it's anyone's? Daniel, are you feeling the love for anyone just at this minute?
Well, for Best Actress, at least in terms of winning SAG, it's not as easy to tell. Like I had Brie Larson as my frontrunner to win SAG and the Oscar. And that hasn't really changed much because none of the films nominated for Best Actress, we don't see a lot of support for them elsewhere other than other, acting nominations for the cast. Like Carol didn't get in for Ensemble. I mean, Rooney Mara got in. Jacob Tremblay got in for Room also in the supporting category, so that maybe shows strength for that film overall. And they just adore Helen Mirren no matter what she does.
Yeah.
And of course, Saoirse Ronan, I feel I'm thinking she, given all the snubs, and she's managing to stay steady this whole award season so far. I'm feeling like she could pick up steam as the season goes along. I wouldn't rule her out of this. I might even rank her ahead of Cate Blanchett, between Brie Larson and Saoirse Ronan maybe to win.
Yeah, do you not think maybe, Marcus, that there's a bit of Cate Blanchett fatigue? She's got, a half dozen Oscar nominations already in less than 20 years. She's won twice. Do you think she's going to suffer a little bit from what happened to Meryl Streep in the late 80s, where it was sort of like she had to sort of go away for a while and then allow them to rediscover her?
No, I don't think so. She's so critically acclaimed for this role. And there's probably going to be two Carol actresses at the Oscars, because I think Rooney will end up going lead at the Oscars. I think that's kind of a consensus at this point. The exception is today, but again, you said there was a ballot and Rooney Mara was on supporting at the SAG Awards here. But some people in our forums were saying Jennifer Lawrence is out at the Oscars because of her snub here. I think that's absolutely crazy. She's definitely going to be nominated. It was a screener.
Well, she's definitely maybe going to be nominated. We got a few weeks to think about the Oscars, luckily, because we'll have to see how the film does. I mean, the initial reviews have been not great. They single her out for giving a good performance, but they've been, again, I think that's David O. Russell, somebody we wrote about extensively, getting in the Oscar record books for having two successive films where he had a performer in every one of the 4 acting categories. With Silver Linings, with American Hustle. So the love for Christian Bale, I guess we had we should have seen it coming. I recall for American Hustle did not have him predicted, and he's the one. Isn't that something? Would any of you have guessed if there was going to be one person nominated for Big Short, it would be him?
Maybe.
He's really good. I don't know who all here has seen it yet, but the other actors do interact, but he's kind of got his own little movie going on here. He never is in a scene with Carell or Gosling or Pitt. He's got his own, section of the movie, his own plot line. So maybe that's why he's standing out. Also, another situation for tomorrow, Globes. They've ruled that he's a lead there on the comedy side, so that one's going to be more confusion.
Wow,
I'm just happy because yesterday I put The Big Short into my film ensemble predictions, which means I got 2 right. I got Spotlight and Big Short. But that was a hard one. The best ensemble, I mean, no one saw Beasts coming. It wasn't even in our prediction center.
Yeah. Well, it just shows that who do know, though, right, Marcus and Chris? I mean, we do score reports. We did all okay, respectably, but there are people that make their predictions that do far better than us, and now the top 24 of them will be showcased next year when we're predicting the SAG nominations, and they all have a chance to make their predictions now and keep changing them right up until those SAG Awards are announced at the end of January. So, well, we're going to talk TV, aren't we, now on a different Slugfest, and talk about how
let's see, as we finish this up, each person give your film winner picks here, just very quickly. By the way, we have launched that prediction center. I'll go first while you all think about it, because I've already made my picks. I think it's Spotlight pretty easy. I think Brie Larson pretty easy. I think Leo DiCaprio. You know, Leo has never won a SAG award, just like he's never won an Oscar. He's won a couple of Globes, so never won a SAG award for individual or ensemble. I think Idris Elba. I mean, I think the showing here by Beasts and the fact that he got in on the TV side as well, I think he's the front runner now for SAG supporting. And then I think Rooney Mara, I think she'll really benefit by being in the supporting category here.
I think I'm going to agree with all those and just remind everyone that while it's 2,000 or so people on the nominating committee, it's well over 100,000 that vote on this. So yeah, I'm going to endorse all of Chris's predictions. I reserve the right to change any and all of them between now and.
Well, we got plenty of time.
Mine are the same except for supporting actor. I'm going to go with Michael Shannon instead of Idris Elba. But again, I may switch that, you know, in the next couple weeks.
You know, I thought about him just a little bit. I need to think about him more for Oscar predictions, but he was part of that Boardwalk Empire, just incredible run here at SAG for a while, where they just kept winning, and nobody would predict them, and then they'd win again, and Steve Buscemi would win. So he might be part of that still love fest for Boardwalk.
And Daniel?
I'm going with I think most of what everybody else is saying. I'm going with Spotlight. I'm going with DiCaprio. I'm going with Brie Larson for Best Actress. But I think, like I said, Saoirse Ronan. We could see her take over the race here, depending on how much love there is for those two films relative to each other. Supporting actor, I think the Beasts of No Nation nomination for Ensemble makes me give Idris Elba the edge over Mark Rylance, but I think either of those two could win, or maybe even Tremblay, you never know. Supporting actress, yeah, I'm going with Rooney Mara there.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. If you haven't watched the other one that we're about to record, be sure we got 2 videos going up today. This was film, and be watching for our SAG TV Slugfest as well.